Oh my god, is that base? Fantasy Report!
What's good, y'all? It's the Moon Man. It's Yoon. It's the King of Scrimps. I'm here with the Base Fantasy Report Week 14. The last week of the regular season. It was definitely hype. It was definitely dramatic. And there was a crazy climactic ending. So you know what? Let's get right into it, okay? The first of two Turd Bowls was myself versus Mateo Blanco. And basically this match didn't mean shit because none of us were going to make the playoffs. However, it was mainly for bragging rights. And unfortunately, Mateo Blanco came out with the win. Tom Brady went a little bit too crazy for me. I couldn't handle it. And unfortunately, I fall 0-2 to him this season. So you know what? I never defeated him. That fucking sucks, man. But whatever. Congratulations on your win, Mateo Blanco. Alright, let's move on to the next matchup. It was Jay Faluna Tycoon versus No Beef. It was Jason versus Angelo. And I'm sorry, Jel, you're on a fucking downward spiral, and it was only getting worse. And it got worse this week. For some reason, you decided to pick up the Broncos defense, but you didn't play them. That was pretty fail. I mean, luckily for you, you picked up the Packers defense, and they ended up getting 12 points, which is more than Broncos. But I mean, how are you going to pick up the Broncos off the waiver wire and not even play them? You know what I mean? Especially since I wanted them. Also, that Cecil Shorts, that was a big fat 0. I felt like at this point in the season, you realized you weren't going to make the playoffs, and you just didn't give a fuck. So since you don't give a fuck, I'm going to give you a fail, man. Yes. Unfortunate for you, you are the fail of the week as well as the fail of the year. I know that has to sting a little bit considering you were champion last year, considering you made that crazy proclamation, or proclamation or claim that you were going to make the playoffs, that you were going to win the whole thing all over again. But unfortunately, you didn't even make the playoffs, you didn't make the cut. You ended up being the fail of the week, fail of the year, so be salty about that, bro, and step up your game next year, man, alright? So you can hold on to that trophy, but I'm going to have to strip you of that medal, bro. I'm sorry about that. As for Jason, man, you closed out the season in a really good way. You were still at the bottom, but you came out with the win. And you know what, Jason? I have to give you congrats, because you are the genius of the year. I posted that yesterday. Surprisingly, like, that was a crazy surprise. I had no idea that you were going to be genius of the year. But you're genius of the year, man. It was that dual genius, or 1 week when you got it with Gel, that definitely pushed you over the edge. Coming in a close second was Carl with 2 geniuses and 0 fails. I really thought he was going to win it, but Jason, man, what a surprise, man. Congrats. Congrats again. Alright, now let's get into Calgary Crop Dusters versus David Pham. Discount double check. And if Chris had won this match, he would have solidified him a spot in the playoffs. Unfortunately, David had other plans. He said, you know what, I may be at the bottom of the league, but you know what? It ain't gonna be that easy, bruh. So who showed up? Who showed up to play? Marshawn Lynch showed up to play, 30 points. Devin Alexander showed up to play. My goodness, Frank Gore showed up to play. My goodness, who else did he have? Who else did he have? Let me check this real quick. Who else did he have? Anquan Bolden showed up to play. Yeah, so David put out good points, man. I mean, it was a little too late, unfortunately, but he put up a nice, a solid 120 points, man. That's pretty damn good. Unfortunately for Chris, it was not good at all. Ahmad Bradshaw with 3 points. Bryce Brown, after having 2 beastly weeks, he scored a measly 1.2. So from beastly to measly, yeah, I know it's kind of corny. Whatever, man. Kyle Rudolph with a big fat 0. So unfortunately for Chris, he came out with the L, and he had to wait on the result of LEJI versus Peter. That's what everybody was waiting for. So Chris, he had to wait. We had to wait. So let's move on to the next matchup. We had Anthony versus Puss Beaters Incorporated. We had Anthony versus Carl. And I mean, if y'all saw the score, y'all saw the score. And Anthony scored the highest ever this season thus far. I mean, if someone can top this, it's going to be pretty crazy, but I don't think it's going to happen. Let's run down the numbers because they're fucking astounding. We had Matt Ryan at 19.68 points. We had Jamal Charles at 22.5. Adrian Peterson at 29. Calvin Johnson at 11.8. Julio Jones at 12.6. Mike Wallace at 23.2. And the Seahawks at an astounding 41 points. Anthony went beast mode. He went off. He went crazy. He crushed Carl, man. 168 points. I mean, who could overcome that? All right. I'm sorry, Carl, man. He dealt with that loss, and just like Chris, Carl was also awaiting the results of LEJI versus Peter. If Pete beat LEJI, that meant that everybody in the top 4 was safe. But if LEJI won, then she would have got fucked up. So everyone came over to Carl's on Monday night. Thank you, Carl, for hosting. Everyone being Carl, Chris, me, Anthony, David, Peter. We all came over and we all chilled at Carl's place and we watched the Monday night game because that's what it led down to. Basically, it was pretty much neck and neck going into Monday night between LEJI and Peter. Peter had Arian Foster and Andre Johnson left, and then LEJI had Aaron Hernandez and Stephen Ridley as well as the kicker for Houston. So everyone was waiting for the results of this game, and unfortunately for Carl, unfortunately for Chris, but fortunately for LEJI, he came out with the win. Yeah, man, that was very, very clutch. Aaron Hernandez had 2 touchdowns. Stephen Ridley had a touchdown. I mean, it was really the Pats game, and the Houston Texans, they really, really struggled, and they really showed, with the fancy points. So LEJI came out with the win, and everybody was, not everybody, but mainly Chris and mainly Carl, they were worried because one of them was going to get bumped out. So everyone had to wait until 3 a.m. I don't know if y'all stayed up to 3 a.m. to see the results, but the results came through. And who made the playoffs? Who made the playoffs? Well, coming in at number 1, in the number 1 spot after an impressive, a crazy performance, it was Anthony. It was Diplomats, all right? It was Anthony, number 1. Coming in the number 2 spot, I thought this was a surprise to me, it was LEJI. LEJI came out number 2 spot, so by winning the game last week, he came out in the number 2 spot. That was crazy, man. Number 3, who came in at number 3 spot? It was Funk Nasty Peter. And sliding in the last spot, it was Carl. So unfortunately for Chris, he is the saltiest man on the planet right now. He was this close to making the playoffs. And trust me, when I say this, bro, I understand your pain. I was this close too last year. So I'm sorry, Chris. I mean, you still get a chicken fried steak from your boy, but unfortunately, you didn't make the playoffs. So I reiterate, it was number 1, Anthony. It was number 2, LEJI. Number 3, Peter. And closing it out, number 4, Carl. That shit was crazy, man. It was crazy. I just thought it was dope that it all like hinged on one game and everybody was watching it. We all got together. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really dope. Once again, I want to thank Carl so much for hosting. Yeah, seriously, man. I can't thank you enough, man. It was awesome. Much love to Carl, man. Everyone, give thanks to Carl, man, because without him, we wouldn't have been able to get together. Matt, Jason, and Jel, please show up next time, all right? Please, please. All right, so we gotta talk about the matchups of next week. I'm gonna stop this music for now. I'm gonna stop this music. We're gonna stop that music for now, and we're gonna cue the epic music. It's a rematch of all rematches. It's the run back. It's a salty ass run back. I love the way, I love the way that this worked out. Last week matches are actually the same matches in the playoffs, alright? And right now, I mean, heavily favored to win the whole thing. I mean, I'm not trying to show any bias, but this guy is basically going through a tear right now. I mean, he's been going crazy. I'm gonna have to give it to Anthony. And to represent Anthony's team, I mean, we gotta show this. Megatron, man, the old school Megatron. Because first of all, he already has Megatron. And plus, his team's been beasting. They've been going crazy. By the way, Anthony, if you would like this for your birthday, I'm more than willing to give it to you. You know, the shit is signed. It's just a print, I know, but I thought it was cool. I picked it up at Comic-Con when I was with Derek. I mean, if you want it, you can definitely have it. Also, Anthony, you can get one of these too. I also got a Soundwave if you want it for your birthday. I'm not trying to pawn these off as some type of like weak-ass gift. Of course, I'm gonna get you a dope-ass gift, but I'm saying like, if you want these, you know, they're definitely yours. All right, so I mean, Anthony, you know, is definitely favored to win it. For sure right now, because I mean his team has been going crazy, and I think coming in at a number 2 spot to win it, I'm gonna have to go with Peter. But talking about the match of the next week, the playoffs, it is a run back. It is Anthony versus Carl. All right, so we're gonna see if it was really a fluke. You know, Anthony scoring 168 points. This is the run back. This is revenge. Can Carl pull it off, or will Anthony show dominance once again? Who knows, man? We'll have to wait and see. And then in the second playoff match, it is the fifth legislation versus Peter in the salty RUNBACK once again. Peter has lost 2 in a row. Can he bounce back? But right now, RG3 is injured, and I don't know. And I had to troll Peter. I'm sorry. I had to pick up those QBs. Chris actually picked up Cousins, and that's actually the person that Pete wanted to get. Chris, I actually think they'll be helped out, Peter, because, I mean, if you're really going to play Cousins, I mean, I think that's a bad move, man. So, I mean, Peter picked up Phillip Rivers, who just happens to be the sit of the week in terms of QBs. I hope it works out for you, bro. And playing off for that coveted 5th place position will be me versus Matt, and it'll be Gel versus Chris. But no one really gives a fuck about that. It's all about the playoff matches. It's all about Peter versus LEJI. It's all about Anthony versus Carl. So, I mean, this has been the Base Fantasy Report. It's going to be crazy to see what happens. It's the playoffs, man. Who knows what's going to happen, man. 4 go into it this weekend. Only 2 will come out. And I told you who the favorites are, man. Now, who's favored? We got Anthony, represented by Megatron. He's favored. He's definitely favored to win it. I'm going to say he's #1 spot. We also got Peter. He's also favored to win it. His team is pretty beast. But who knows what can happen, man. Who knows what will happen. Enjoy this fucking epic music. I hope you enjoyed the Base Fantasy Report. I'll be back next week. We'll see who's going to be in the championship. It's fucking exciting as shit, right? Right? Peace, guys.
Will it be Asian domination or white supremacy? You're left with Pete Scott, the Great White Hope. Can he do it?